Okay, hey. Coming in looking wild like usual. So I am coming in to make a part 3 of what I think is going to be a 4-part series of my stunts that I pulled. And I got Stormy. I'm in the house this time, so Stormy might be part of the show. He's bad. I'm on his table. Stormy. Okay. I have to lay his blanket back out. He's getting on this table. All right, Stormy, you gotta let me do this. I want to get it done. Maybe I shouldn't be doing it. This is gonna be part 3 of what I think is gonna be a 4-part series of. First part was the incidents that occurred. Second part was the emergency department stay, and then for 3 days. And then this third part is going to be my experience with going to the mental hospital because of the preluding story. I am currently on a day 2 of. I'm sorry, it's first sticking to my lip gloss. Of what I guess I'm gonna call like a shut-in. Shut out and shut in. My hair is pretty wild. I'm pretty gross. I decided to kind of do a little detox from social media out of nowhere. I didn't plan on it, but it felt like it was what needed to be done. Stormy, get comfortable. It's gonna take a while because this video is probably gonna be a while. It's another long story. So you're probably gonna hear his purrs and stuff throughout. I'm sure he'll keep me company. Yeah, here we go. I'm trying to get my thoughts straight. So yeah, I am kind of a mess right now. My eyes are like normally as they have been for years, very dark. My circles under the eyes. My allergies have been acting pretty haywire. And I've noticed the more I rub my eyes, the darker they get. So I'm literally probably giving myself black eyes. And I'm not putting makeup on for any of these videos. I just want to get it out. I need to wash my hair. It's very... And I don't edit them either, so... But, I mean, if I have to, I will. So, yeah. Me and Stormy's just chilling. We are not logging on to any social media. I don't want to know what's going on out there. We're not really going outside. We're not going outside, I should say. It's not really. I'm just trying to tone down the distractions so that I can hear my own thoughts and hear any guidance from above. So, I've been making these videos kind of when I feel moved to make them. This incident happened in I'm a little past 3 years to the day where this occurred. August 28th was when I had my injuries and trauma. I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital from the 29th for 3 days. So I think it was like the 1st. And then that I got moved to the mental hospital for my further treatment. And today is currently August 31st. It's a Saturday of 2024. So I just hit the 3-year anniversary from when all this went down. And the first videos are very long too. I anticipate this one will be just as long, if not longer. Because my stay at the hospital was, I believe it was like 3.5 weeks, I think. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe not that long. I believe I got discharged on September 15th, maybe 16th of 2021. So this story is going to take a long time because I did stay there for quite a while. All the other stories, I mean, I can cut out. I'm obviously not going to get into too much of the circumstances regarding other patients. Not that I'm like restricted by HIPAA or anything, but just out of respect. But there had been some, I am going to talk about my interactions that I was involved in, and that will probably have to talk about other people, but I'm not going to obviously say anybody's names. Not that I could really remember everybody's names, but anyways. So I believe I left off in the last video talking about they got me a transport in the middle of the night to go from the hospital that was, it was still a ways away from my home. So I was out of town this whole time. All of this happened from when I crashed my car to when I went to the emergency room. And then it was worked out that they were going to send me to a facility in one of the suburbs of Chicago. So when I got into the transport, he notified me that it was going to be about a few hours, maybe a couple hours. I can't remember. It was a couple hours drive at the least, maybe a few. I can't remember for sure. Now, because of the trauma that I had endured, and I was still quite foggy, I was treated for my low potassium, but there was so much that I had went through, and I still had fears that I was having when my potassium was low. It wasn't like once they got that straightened out that like I was just like rebound back to normal or anything. So I will say at this point I was still highly paranoid. So when I got into the back of the car, it was almost like a police car, cab / because it had like the hard plastic seats, and then it did have a cage between the driver and the patient, me, whatever. And when I left the hospital, I was able to take with me, well, most of my belongings they gave to the driver. I was not allowed to have. I was on suicide watch. And that's why they were sending me to the mental hospital. So and I don't know why people always say like they don't use the word suicide and murder, certain words. But I'm going to, because I'm not gonna redefine the words that I lived through. And just I'm not gonna play into the whole censorship and like triggering things, triggering, I will warn it, but I'm not playing that game of let's change how we express what we think and live just so some platform could feel like it's really censorship is really what it is. And honestly, you can tell me the algorithm isn't smart enough to determine the difference between on alive and dead. It's like, come on, people. Anyway, so yeah, I will say suicide, because that's what it was. It was a suicide attempt that I was going to be treated for at this point, because they did treat me on my physical side of things at the emergency room. They did not discharge me until everything was working properly in that way, which I described in the video prior. So they did let me carry in with me my snacks. From the hospital, snacks. I had a cookie and a bag of chips. And I got in the back of the car, and the driver was like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to let you have that." But he's like, "It's going to be a long drive, so go ahead." And he was this older, large, rough man, smoker, just gruff, but nice. And he was very accommodating to my situation. He did let me have my snacks and stuff. I think I did end up giving him my cookie because I didn't eat it. But that sounds so dirty. Gave him my cookie. Not that kind of cookie. It was a chocolate chip cookie. And it looked delicious. But anyways. So yeah. And I don't remember, but along the way, pretty early on, I'm sure, right when I got in it, probably, I did tell him I was worried. I was paranoid that people were going to try to follow us and try to find me and hurt me. And he was, very calming in the way of telling me he'll keep an eye out and make sure nobody's following us. And it was so bad the whole way. I was looking out the back so I don't remember what happened first with the driver or not, but along the way, he did try to give me a little bit of insight of what was going to go down. I guess it's normal for him to transport people from the hospital to the mental hospital or facility. And he had told me, he's like, "Well, first of all, you're one of the few people that I've ever taken to this particular facility. The one that I was going to was actually the best that he knew of." He said most people go to a couple in the same area, Chicago area, but they're not as comforting of facilities, I believe. It's kind of what he's made it seem like. So he said, count yourself lucky that you are going to one of the better places, or the best place that he's ever taken anyone. And I guess I was one of the only few people that usually people go to other places, is what he was saying. He told me what to expect. He said, when you get in there, they're going to put you in a room. They're going to, check and make sure you don't have anything on you. And then they're going to get you in there. They're going to get you checked in. And I'm so glad he warned me about that, because actually, with my paranoia, even when I was in that room, that first initial room, they put me in to wait, because this was like 5 a.m. by the time I got there. I was like, oh no, they got me. And they, as in like the groups that I thought were after me. I thought that I was in their lair. Because it did take a long time for somebody because it was a security guard that let me in the room, and it took a long time for somebody to come in there, because I imagine, it being that time in the morning, it might have been like 4. It was before daylight is all I know. And they it probably took them a while to get down there, because, it's a crazy time of the day. And that time where it was just me in there waiting, I was like thinking that somebody bad would come take me out of there. I was looking at every detail. I noticed like any chips of paint that were missing that looked like struggles, or the tissue box was kind of mangled a little bit. And I was like, this is the nice facility. Why isn't it pristine? So I was just like, felt like I was in a trap. But I was like, stay calm, just hear it out. So I did get past that point. Okay. But I'm going to jump back before I even got in there along the way. I'm not sure if it was before or after he kind of gave me the rundown. He wanted to pull over at a rest stop for a cigarette. And he knew that I was very paranoid. And I did not mind if he had a cigarette. But I was very worried that that would be an opportunity for somebody to come hurt us. And then I also thought maybe this is a setup. Maybe he's delivering me to the bad guys. So I was very reluctant, but I mean, I really couldn't do anything. I'm in the back seat of basically a police car that I can't get out of. And it was so horrible because almost like every day I felt like I was going to be delivered to somebody that wanted to hurt me. And so I was just like, whatever, yeah, that's good, that's fine, whatever, have your cigarette. And he's like, I will keep the car running, I will stand at the door, and I will keep a lookout. And he did. And he, I kept a lookout in my directions, and he kind of kept a lookout. Well, I mean, I kept a lookout in all directions, but he did keep, a lookout. And there was like a couple of times where a semi or something would pull out of the rest stop area while we were there parked, and any motion of any headlights and stuff like had me on high alert. And he kind of was like, I see them. They're moving. He worked well with me. And so, yeah, it was nice to know that I was being looked after, even though he didn't have to even talk to me, He didn't have to do any of that. So I get admitted into the facility, and I get out of the little room. Then they bring me into a bigger room, which is more of an exam area. And I think that they check just like my vitals. They did do COVID tests. No, they didn't do a COVID test. They did one at the ER, was where they COVID tested me. But they did end up doing blood work and stuff at the mental facility. And so I went to this bigger room. And mind you, the whole time I am wearing, I forgot what they called them. A lot of the girls at the in the hospital called them something, paper gowns or something like that. They're pants and top, but they're from the hospital, but they're like, disposable. So they're cloth, but they're like really thick paper towels. I can't. And this isn't a big note, but when I went on the run, I was commando. I did not have any underwear on. I did have a sports bra on, so it was wireless bra. So I was actually able to keep that. My dad did send me with one pair of pants and I believe 2 tops. Yeah, pretty sure it was 2 tops. And some sandal type things that I could wear. The pants that I had went in to that hot emergency room with were leggings, and they were ripped all the way to crotch, the ass to front, all the way to belly button. So I ended up throwing them away. Not until I got home, though. But they had them in my bag, and they watched them at the emergency room. But they weren't wearable. So I'm in my little paper suit with... at that point, I didn't even have my bra because it was in my bag that they sent with me, and I didn't have access to. or any of my clothes or anything. So I'm in this paper suit, commando under it and stuff. And I know that's like not like pertinent to any of this, but I was very vulnerable. This is basically my point. But also with what I had been through and stuff, it's kind of like I didn't really care. It wasn't like it was bothering me or hindering anything. But yeah, and I should have mentioned also, not should have mentioned, but yeah, my dad asked me what I needed to go to the mental hospital with. I didn't know how long I was going or anything. I did voluntarily go, but I didn't know. I figured it could take like a month, but I wasn't thinking of placing an order with my dad. My dad, he asked me what I needed, and I forgot to tell him I needed underwear. And honestly, it's not a big part of the story, but it does come back up later. And so I'm getting admitted. At this point, I have my head wrapped with gauze going all the way around. I didn't know it at the time, but my face was, I guess, apparently starting to swell from the gunshot wound. They took a picture of me at that point for my chart, because once you're in there, they chart everything you do, every movement, everything. And they have your picture on it so that the aides, I don't know what they call them, the staff, whatever, can identify you and, mark what you're up to. So they took my picture with my big old wrap on my head, and my face was just round ball. And I only know this because I did ask to see the picture, and that's what it looked like. So it's still super early, probably like 5 a.m. And also remind you, they did not allow me to bathe at the emergency department. They never put me in they never admitted me into a room. They kept me in the emergency department that whole time. They did provide me large wet cloths, like baby wipes, but like adult, like for sponge bathing. So I was able to like wipe down with that. But my hair still had blood and residue from gunshot residue and trees, pieces, and woods, mud. I was very gross. And all I really wanted to do was take a shower and sleep. That's really all I wanted to do. But I also knew that going into there, I was on their turf, and I needed to play by their rules and to do what I needed to do to get back home. Because at that point, I did not know what was going to happen with my job. My cat was still missing. There was just a lot up in the air, and I had a lot on my mind. But I knew I needed to go get through mental health treatment. So they bring me in there. It's a clean, nice, decent facility. At the point of when I get in there, nobody's awake. So they send me straight to my room. My room is like the first room on the hall. And I did notice there was somebody in the other bed, 2 beds to each room, sleeping. And I had spent the night in the woods and the car accident. So my entire body was covered in rashes, scratches, bruises. I was hurting bad. And this is a few days since the accident, so a lot of the pain had set in. First day it wasn't so bad, but by this point I was feeling everything. And I had a hole in my head. So I was a mess. In pain, scared, just shaken to the core. And I went and laid in my cot, my little bed that was farthest from the door, close to the window. It was not a comfortable situation, but I dealt with it. I was at that point ready to just lay down. I knew that I couldn't take a shower yet. I didn't know any of the rules, so I did kind of get some sleep once I went in there. And that's also when I noticed that people will sit at the door and stand at the door and watch you sleep. And like, it's very weird. So yeah. And at a couple points through the night, the first time, and it wasn't the night, but it was soon after I came in. Apparently they brought all my belongings and then they got to go through them and stuff. But they came in and I noticed the first thing they brought was my little Bible. It's about that big. It's just the New Testament. It's a little pocket Bible that I kept in my glove box that my dad managed to get to me while I was in the emergency department. And then they gave it to me before I even woke up. And I saw that she was putting it over there. So I was like, okay. It did ease my fears a little bit more. Like, okay, they're not like keeping my Bible for me. I can cope with this place a little bit better, you know. So, and then they slowly brought in, a little while after, they brought in the rest of the clothes that I was allowed to have and things like that. So I'm trying not to this is going to take forever. I already know it because it's 26 minutes in and I'm just talking about when they first popped me in a bed. So anyways, I don't know if this was the first night it happened. I kind of think it was. And I didn't mean to be disruptive to my roommate. But I was in so much pain and I remember rolling over and I thought that I had so much pain, like my shoulder blades, and I'm figuring that's from the car accident. And it felt like I had like if I had angel wings, like they had ripped them out. And I remember just like shouting, okay, God, I get it. I don't even know if I said God. I know I said, okay, I get it. Like, I got that I had fucked up. And I was paying the price for it. And I was in so much pain. And I wasn't really able to sleep, but I kind of did. And I remember waking up to meeting my roommate, who I'm still in contact with. She cracked me up. She reminded me a lot of my youngest sister, and I instantly became very fond of her. And I appreciated that she was my roommate because it could have been a way worse situation with a different roommate, with another roommate, I'm sure. There's a lot of nice girls there, but that's fine. But I'm glad I got who I got. And later on down the line, after we got out and stuff, actually, it was before we got out. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of you, but I remember seeing you when I first met you. You just had this head wrap on, and which I'm surprised they even let me in there with. But anyways, they wouldn't give me any more after that. But she said you had this big dumb head wrap on, and you just had a big old smile on your face, and you're like, "Hi, I'm Jenna." And I'm sure I looked crazy and it was goofy, but I actually took that as a compliment because I still able to manage to smile. I was when I was dying inside and like scared and away from everybody I know, and so I don't even know where to go with this story. So I'm still in my paper gown. They have certain times you can bathe, shower, and they give you your toiletries during that time, but you have to turn them back in after. And they, I don't know. So I probably did get to shower before I went out there, but I did get to shower, and oh, there's so much stories. This one I might have to like part it. Not, I don't know. I might have to like not record all the way through. So they gave me I took my shower. That was great. Come to find out though, I am going to jump ahead to the future. I should not have been washing my head wound with shampoo and conditioner in a regular shower, which I don't even know if they had conditioner. I can't remember. If whatever they had for toiletries, they sucked anyways. But I was not supposed to be getting my head wound wet, and I didn't know that until like almost a month after when I began wound care. But anyways, I did get that initial shower, and I did shower every day because that was one thing that they let us do every day. So I think you can actually take 2 showers a day. You could, and I sometimes did, but I usually did it. But I got my shower and got out into they wouldn't allow you to hang in your bed the whole time, and that really bummed me out because it's all I wanted to do. I was down to participate in the groups and stuff, but I really just wanted to lay in bed because I was in pain. And around the time when I first got my first shower, and that was when I first saw myself fully naked in front of a mirror and noticed the damage on my body and the bruise from the seatbelt was horrific. It was black, purple, blue. It covered a large portion of my torso, and my backside covered in bruises. Not really any scrapes or scratches wherever my leggings would have been, but from scooting around in the woods and crawling around, everywhere my clothing was covering had bruises still, and everywhere my clothing wasn't covering had bruises and scratches. So it's kind of crazy to see myself like that. And there's like no documentation of any of it because we weren't allowed to have phones even if we could, but I left my phone at home because I didn't want to be tracked. So I did not even, like even in the emergency room, I didn't have my phone or anything. So I did not have, so I threw away my paper gown after that initial shower, and they had regular hospital gowns, and I took 2 of them, one to put in the front and the back so that it wouldn't be open. It sucked so bad. So I went into the common area like that because I wasn't allowed to stay in my room. And the very first person that came up and introduced themselves to me was very nice, this young girl, younger than me. She actually voluntarily took herself in there. She was feeling burned out and she needed to go in there, she felt. And so she did not have an incident that took her there. And she was very friendly and introduced herself to me, and I started chatting. And everywhere I go, I don't have a problem usually with meeting new people and getting along with people. So I chatted with some people, and there was questions about what happened in my head and what brought me in there. And I told them, and people didn't, they didn't like dig too much or anything, but they were kind of surprised. Sorry, going on. And it's crazy because I can remember all of these things. Like, I don't think about it often anymore, but I do every now and then replay some of the situations in my mind. But it's kind of hard to go like through chronicle order and to like find the points that are worth discussing, because there was so much that went down. So the first day also, they don't allow you to go into the cafeteria to eat. They bring you your food. And they brought me my food and I ate, and that was good and all. And I don't know if it was the first full day that I started to notice, but it might have been the second for sure. It was by the second. I started to notice I could feel the side where I shot myself. It was getting tight on my face. And mind you, I learned at the emergency room that I had locked jaw. My jaw was locked. I couldn't open my mouth very much to eat. So there was damage other than just the gunshot wound. And I started feeling it was getting tight, and I could feel my eye was feeling like it was starting to swell up. So I went and looked in the mirror in my room, and lo and behold, yeah, my face was getting swollen on that side. It swelled up for at least 2 days, maybe a few. And then it did gradually go back down. It did really scare me when it got swollen, because there are no pictures of how bad it was. I just saw it and it scared me because I wasn't sure if it was permanent. I wasn't scared if the lockjaw was permanent. So that all returned to normal. And mind you, the whole time I'm in there, I'm still thinking that there's going to be agents sent in to get me. And every day, at least one new person would get admitted. And I was always like, who's this? They did encourage us to go outside for a rec, and they did other activities and things like that. They did have group. I can't remember the schedule, but there was a schedule for every day. And one of the first times, I think it was the first time I was going to be taken outside, I actually was really looking forward to it. This is so silly. But then I guess a lot of the stories I might have to leave out because it was a lot. And but I'll share this, that I forgot that I didn't forget. I don't know. Actually, no, this wasn't the first time I went outside. First time I went outside, it was fine. I did notice a plane fly over, a small plane fly over, and I don't know if that kind of triggered like when the police were looking for me in the woods when they sent the plane out or anything, but I did notice it, and I was kind of like, are they looking for me? But I dealt with it. It kept flying. And then the second time, I think it was when we went to go out, I kind of forgot that I was like nervous about people looking for me until I stepped outside. And soon after I stepped outside, another plane flew over, and it got me really tense. And I was like, why is there a plane constantly flying over this place? You know, and a slower, smaller plane. And I like basically did a U-turn, and I kind of irritated the girl that was assigned to walk us down, because she was kind of like, oh, now I got to walk you back. And I was kind of like, I don't care. I'm not going out there. So she did walk me back, and she kind of had a little attitude, and I kind of had a little attitude. But later in that day, she did apologize. I think maybe she finally, because I didn't tell her why I didn't want to go outside, but maybe she took into account why, that I'm a freaking mental patient. Maybe, I got scared. She did end up apologizing for how she handled it and spoke to me. And I appreciated that apology. So yeah, but as time went on, I did end up going back outside. I did still feel like there was people after me that were even inside. I thought there was demons inhabiting some of these people. But I also was determined to stay strong and face anything and everyone. There was one thing I wasn't super happy about with this facility was, which they didn't give me the option, which that's not a big deal, but they did put me in, they have different groups, like under 18, so like juvenile, and then they have women's, and then they have men's, and then they put me in the LGBTQ group. And I think it's more so of a reason of, first of all, I did not have a problem with it. But I think it's also like the women's group had more women in there than this group. So a matter of space. And most of the people in the group, and I think there was like, I don't know, 15, 20 other, people altogether. I don't know. They were mostly women, or identified as women. At one point they did bring in, identified as a woman, born a male, big, strong man. And I think I even accused her of being one of the people sent to get me. Came after I came in. And they were like, no. And they actually, he actually looked after me quite a bit. But I still didn't trust him. I told him a little bit of, and I actually am in contact with her. Sorry if I said him. Still in contact. But, I was kind of like, I'm in here because I'm scared of men at the moment. And I don't care what they identify as. I don't want to be sleeping anywhere where one can, natural born, can come and try to kill me in my sleep. I mean, I wasn't losing any sleep because of it, but it didn't help my comfort, is all I know. And what I've kind of also noticed with this whole stay, they didn't really care about my comfort at all. So yeah, there's so freaking much. I don't know if I can get through this video. So they would have group meetings with the therapist, social worker. I loved my social worker. There's 2 groups they divided us onto. Mine was great. I got along with her very well. She got along with me. She actually made a few jokes about me comparing me to Harley Quinn, because it was known that I was a psychology background in there, and I snapped. And she was cool with me though. So yeah, I participated in every group, no issues. I didn't want to. It was kind of, it was stuff that I would help other people with. It was not saying I'm above it or anything, but it was kind of like, putting a college student into a kindergarten class. And the whole reason I was in there and that I did injure myself wasn't and this is not me trying to say I'm better than anybody, but it wasn't the typical, and that's kind of what I kept getting frustrated with, is that I didn't harm myself because I was suicidal. Isn't that weird? I wasn't depressed. It wasn't mental health. It was literally a psychosis caused by a medical emergency. It wasn't drug-induced or anything. But I still knew I had to go through this part of it, whatever. And then they did have us even less frequently. I believe it was maybe weekly, but it was probably a little more at first, where we did meet with the actual psychiatrist and her nurse practitioner. Them I did not get along with so well. They did not listen to me. I believe they misdiagnosed me with bipolar. I can't remember which one or two. Either way, I know I don't have bipolar. And I knew I didn't. I did say I probably have PTSD. But I kind of bickered about it with other girls, and they're like, they have to diagnose you with something, for billing. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But I was very upset they would not listen to me. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I do feel like there was a lot of mistreatment, and malpractice going on in there. It seemed like they were just more concerned on giving me a prescription and a diagnosis and just to collect my insurance. So I did actually have some words with the nurse practitioner in particular, who worked under the psychiatrist. It was so weird, though, because all the women that worked there, it was mostly women. There was a few like staffers that were men, but even them, everybody was really good looking. And that was another thing that kind of set my radar off. I was like, this isn't even a real facility. This is a fake, and they got me in here. But anyways, the psychiatrist and her nurse practitioner, as much as they were straight up bitches, and I don't normally call people out their name, but I really have an issue with them. And what they did honestly could have done more damage than it did. I had to work on reversing what they put me through. Anyways, they were really beautiful women physically on the outside. I don't know about the insides. And I remember even saying that to the nurse practitioner. I'm like, how are you so pretty, but like, still just like so horrible at your job? Excuse me. And I remember even threatening I was like, I'm going to have your license when I get out of here. And I've never talked to anybody that way, especially a doctor or anything, but I was forced upon them. And it just irritated me so bad that they were not taking into account what I was telling them happened. I shouldn't be making big crazy faces in my crazy talk video, because then they're going to try to put me back in there. So anyways, even at one point, this was like after a week of being there or something, they had me talk to some other lady. I don't even know who she was. She was on the physician side. And she had my story wrong. And I'm like, how can you have my story wrong? And this is after they tried to force me to take medications and diagnose me and stuff. It's like, how do you have these facts wrong and you're still trying to treat me? Like, they said that, she was like, so you shot yourself with a shotgun and you still look like that? And you still don't look... So, like, it's almost as if they were I felt like they were trying to say that, A, I didn't even get shot, which I had the hole in my head to prove it, but and the emergency room confirmed it. But anyways, but that's not what they were saying. But I don't know where she got shotgun from. I'm like, no. I'm like, I didn't get shot with a shotgun. And it was a handgun. And then she also said, so you stayed the night in the woods for 4 days? I'm like, where did you get this information? I'm like, no, I did not. I almost felt like they were trying to like, I really want to see what my file says from there. I probably should get it because I feel like they were lying. I felt like they were trying to say that I was making these stories up, but they were putting things, reading back my chart to me, and it was not right. It was wrong. And I was like so disturbed by that. I was more disturbed by like the people that were supposed to be helping me the most than I was by the staff that walked me to my lunchroom. I'm trying to get off of that. Honestly, I don't know where to go next. Well, since I'm already on it, because of my diagnosis, they did prescribe me lithium and Seroquel. I typically, when I'm in my life, I try not to even take ibuprofen if I can help it. I will take medications. I do have blood pressure medications. The medication that was prescribed to me while I was going through my divorce, and I'm still on it. And at the time I was on there. So they wanted me to take lithium, Seroquel, my blood pressure medicine, and then they did offer me, I can't remember if it's trazodone or tramadol, whichever one's for sleep and pain or whatever. I don't know. Whichever one's weaker. I don't even remember the difference. I don't care about medications. And I didn't even know, I still really don't know about Seroquel, but lithium I only know of because it's so hard. And like, there's a freaking Nirvana song called Lithium. Like, I don't want that. Anyway, so they, and then they also, I don't know if I said, but ibuprofen was also allowed at bedtime. Either that or the T medication. And I always opt, because I was still in serious pain. It was hard to sleep. I started me sleeping. I did take ibuprofen every night. And then every now and then throughout the day, but mainly at bedtime, I definitely took it. And I thought I had the option to decline the medications they prescribed for the bipolar, the lithium and the Seroquel. So I'm going through my days, participating, scared out of my mind still, but making the best out of it, in pain, physical, hole in my head, starting to like smell bad because it's getting infected, because I wasn't supposed to be washing it. I needed wound care on it, really is what I needed. They did not provide any gauze or treatment for my head. One of the nurses that did, that was, gave me my medication, she did end up trying to give me some type of gauze solution. She had some gauze. They wouldn't give me wraps though, because, you could harm yourself with them. She tried to use this, and they did let us use little teeny rubber bands. She tried to like braid a gauze into my hair, because she felt horrible. She's like, you should not have to have that just exposed. And she was an RN, and she tried to help, but that didn't really work. So for the most part, I was using paper towels from the bathroom and napkins from the cafeteria. And my head was actively leaking constantly. It still had gunpowder coming out of it at that point. And I don't know how long after, but it did really start to have an odor to it. So I knew that it was getting infected. It took a while, a couple weeks, I bet. I don't know for sure. As I scratch my dent. For them to get a nurse practitioner to actually even look at my wound. She's like, oh, yeah. She was wearing a mask at the time. This is still like pretty close to COVID. I mean, it wasn't, we were past the quarantine and all that, but still people were wearing masks. We didn't have to, but when we walked from the cafeteria to the, back and forth to the cafeteria or wherever we walked to the gym and stuff, we would have to wear a mask, but we could take it off. I started to actually get a mask, and I started to wear a mask over one of the other ladies, one of the other patients. She told me to cover it with a mask, and it actually worked fine. I rigged it from one ear to the next, and it still didn't stop it from leaking anywhere, but it covered it because she actually kind of hyped up my fears a little bit too, because she's like, she was telling me that it was attracting them. She said, don't let them see it. She asked other things that kind of freaked me out about where they came from. Compared them to dogs. And at that point, I felt like I had hellhounds after me. Anyways. So I did eventually get prescribed an antibiotic because, yeah, there was infection setting in. My poor roommate, and I couldn't have any like sprays or anything to like. My poor roommate was like, "It's smelling pretty bad." She like got so embarrassed, and it was so gross. Oh, but it's what it is. It was what it was, and I had to fucking just. Sorry, my language. Just had to deal with it, you know. So, one of the times I'm also getting my medication. I don't know how many weeks this is in, like a couple weeks in. Yeah, I might as well get these parts out of the way. I'm jumping all over the place, but it doesn't really matter once you're in there. I mean, you're in there. So they one of the other nurses, each nurse that distributed the medications was so nice to me. And I was like, "Oh, sweetheart," she's like, "They are proceeding with court. They ordered for a court. They are proceeding with a court order to get you to take your lithium and Seroquel." And I was like, excuse me? First of all, I didn't know I didn't have an option. So she told me that there was like a court date scheduled for, I don't know, a few days away, a week away. I can't remember how long, but it was in the works. And if they would have won that court hearing, which they probably would have, because it would have been my word versus theirs, the doctors, they would have been able to forcefully inject me with these prescriptions, medications, drugs. I went, okay, the most that I did go on a rampage was when I found that out. I was scared. I felt like there was nothing I could do. I didn't know what to do. I definitely prayed about it. I talked to my aunt who has a legal background, and she kind of helped work me through it, calm me down, told me to talk to the doctors and see if there's something that we could do different. Is there something we could agree upon? Eventually I did get in to see the psychiatrist, and I did negotiate a medication that, because they were like, you're either going to take medicine or you're going to go to court and we're going to force it on you. And there really was no declining what they felt to treat me with. So they, I told her, first of all, I don't want to take both of those drugs, and I don't want something strong. I was like, I come from a family that has issues with addiction. I don't mess with drugs like that. And we ended up settling on, only reason I was even familiar with what we settled on was because I think I saw a commercial for it or something. It was for like bipolar. They were treating the bipolar, but it was Abilify. And I was like, okay, I'll go for that, whatever. They did start me on a low treatment, but I also did learn that they weren't going to discharge me until I was on a medication treatment and doing well in all areas, which I was doing well in all areas. So they kept me there. I don't know how much longer. Well, after I agreed on taking that, they did keep me there about a week after that because they wanted to make sure there's no side effects, things like that, which I understood. But if they would have negotiated something with me and I would have taken it from the beginning, I might have been out of there in a week, 2 weeks. And this is not anything that I didn't even bring this up to him, and it kind of was out of my mind, but I did know my mom was not well. I did know my cat was still missing. I really wanted out of there to go handle my business. I didn't know what was going on with my job. I was very frustrated with, and that was also partly why I was trying to remain reserved and calm, even when I was very frustrated with them. I did not want to give them reasons to keep me there longer, but they did keep me there longer because I was exercising my rights and my, advocating for myself and telling them, no, I don't want that medicine. And it's not like I was declining medicine because I didn't think like that. If I really felt that the medicine would help me and I really felt like I had bipolar, I would have done what they suggested. But anyways, I mean, this is going to be in the next story, but the next part, but my mom ended up dying the day after I got out of there. So I could have been by my mom's bedside. Instead, I'm in there fighting with freaking overpaid people that are taking advantage of my freedom and my horror story and using it against me. Trying not to get so... Everything happens for a reason. I'm glad I experienced the hospital. I'm glad I met the people I met. I'm glad I had the pain, the suffering, the discomfort with the people I met. Not every experience there was good. I did have many of the staffers tell me that I was their favorite patient that they've ever seen because I did get along with them. I did cooperate. I participated to my best of ability. There was a couple days or a couple times where I just begged to just let me lay down instead of like making me go out into the common area and stuff, because I mean, with what my body went through, sleep was the best medicine that I could have had, mentally, physically. I was going to get into like other like interaction stories, things about group, things that I had fun with even. But I mean, those are just my experiences anyways. The whole main thing of it was the process and what I went through. And I'm not even going to get into the paranoia the whole time. The paranoia still goes into the next part, so I'll cover that. But, I did what I had to do. I took my medicine. I got out of there eventually. My blood pressure, they checked your blood pressure twice a day. And even with my medicine, my blood pressure stayed fairly high. And not high. It was slightly elevated the whole time. I don't think I ever got a reading that was normal or lower. There was something else I wanted to get into about my stay there. The eating was crazy because the food was the best part, actually. The cafeteria was a smorgasbord type of thing where the cafeteria attendants you tell them what you want and they'd give it to you. And they actually had really good food. Like, the food was tasty, and they had these big old cookies. And I didn't know we weren't allowed to take food to our room. And the first day I went to the cafeteria, I brought a cookie back, and they took it away, and that's fine. I learned my lesson. But they did give us snacks in between meals. But it really sucked for me because not my entire stay, but at least the first week or 2 weeks, my lockjaw was still fairly locked, and I could only open it. Like, I could measure it. I couldn't really open it very wide, and eventually I could get 2 fingers in there. So it did loosen up, but it took me a long time to eat my food. And I think they gave us a half hour, maybe. I don't think it was 15 minutes. I think it was a half hour. But I didn't always get to finish my food because it would take me a long time to bite and chew and stuff. And so the food was good, what I could actually get in. And yeah. Oh, and then the clothes situation. I never did get underwear. I can't. Which really sucked because I did end up having, and this is probably TMI, but I'm going to say it anyways. You know me and my too much information. I did have 1 menstrual cycle while I was in there, and that was horrible because they only let you use pads. And I tried to get a pair of underwear during that time from the front desk. Sometimes they had some underwears and just stuff that other people had like donated and would leave. like one of the girls, she ended up with a pair of boys' undies because that's all they had. But anyways, I would have taken boys' undies even if that was the case. They did have 1 pair, but honestly, they were too small for me, and it sucked. So I wasn't able to wear them. So I had to I meant to say before this, I did have one of the ladies who had left. A lot of the girls shared clothes and stuff because some girls had people bring them stuff. You know, they had people in town and stuff or near town. Like, nobody brought me anything like for clothes, toiletries, nothing. I didn't have anybody visit me, which nobody was allowed to visit anyways. They did do, we were able to do like FaceTime and stuff a certain day of the week. But nobody came to bring me anything. Like, some of the girls had like activity books and stuff brought to them and stuff. But they shared with me. And one of the girls that got out, she actually came back and she did bring me some, actually. She brought me some leggings and no undies, but some more leggings and stuff. So I did actually, when I left there, I did have more clothes than I came there with. And I did leave some clothes. Like, a lot of the girls, when they would leave some clothes for the others and stuff like that. And I did leave some stuff for some people. And then once I did get out of there, I donated the clothes that I had from there to the Battered Woman's Home because it got, as much as I appreciated them, and I still kind of needed them for a few days after because I went to my dad's instead of my home. So I still didn't really have clothes. But as soon as I didn't need them, I didn't want to remember them. Like, I did not want to remember wearing them. And they were a reminder of the situation. And it just wasn't something that I wanted to keep. So I did donate all those clothes. So they were repurposed. And hopefully it went to a good cause. There was another story that I was going to talk. There's quite a bit of stories that happened while I was in there because I was in there for a while, and yeah. I'm gonna skip to the last story because as I was there and stuff, and just like, you know, going through. It started getting the vibe around there really started getting different near the last days, and I was ready to go. I was taking my Abilify like a good girl, and this was a few days into it, and I knew that I was going to get a discharge date soon and stuff. And I think it was like on Wednesdays they did evaluations, and on one of those Wednesdays we had a storm come through, and where it was tornado warnings and the sirens were going off. So we all had to get in the halls, and they were doing like evaluations in the halls and stuff because some people were getting ready to leave. And I still didn't get my discharge notice that day, but just the whole vibe was changing. It was like, I was just like so ready to go. I'm like, get me out of here. And I remember thinking if a tornado blew through there and blew open the windows, I was getting out of there. But I was still scared because I didn't know where I would go and if they were going to get me. Sorry, my nails are all chipped away and those are my scratchers. So yeah, they, the window didn't blow out and I didn't go running. So, but anyways, I think like within the day after that or a couple days after, a couple new people came in and they started talking. They were more disruptive and more troublesome, I guess you could say. And one of them, they were starting to get like, a lot more people were getting more religious, I guess, spiritual. And like, one of the ladies proclaimed to be Archangel Michael. And that was fine, whatever. But anyways, the cases started getting a little harder and all that. One of the people in the room next to my roommate and I, they were banging their head against the wall one night. And they had to, oh, my neighbor's mowing. They had to actually sedate that one, and her bang slowly slowed down as the medicine kicked in. And then she went back. And then when she woke up, she went back to it. But anyways, my last night there, I did end up getting my discharge, and I knew it was my last night, and I was like, oh, just get me out of here. So I really couldn't sleep well that night anyways, but that was like the night of the banging. And the next thing you know, Archangel Michael's in the freaking day room, which nobody's supposed to be in there, but they let her. Her and she had another little lady that was her hype woman. She's like, this is Michael. We need to do this and this. And they were just ranting. And I was like, and I would go out there usually every night and get my ibuprofen. So I went out there and I really didn't even need to get my ibuprofen that bad. I really was tired and I just wanted to go to bed and I wanted to just get out of there. And I remember I was just pacing for a while before I went out there. I was like, man, do not snap. Do not get kept here longer. And I was like so close to snapping because they were just being so disruptive. So I did go out there and I said something. I'm like, don't you know people are out here trying to get rest? I'm like, we're all in here for a reason and nobody needs you guys out here disturbing the peace. And they were like, and the little hype woman was like, the Michael lady, she was like off in her own land. She wasn't not listening to anything I was saying really. But the little hype woman was like, I respect you. I just need you to know that we're doing this because blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what they said, but I was just like, I don't care. It's like, shut up. And I got ibuprofen, and then I went in there. And they kind of settled down, but they still went at it for a while. I don't know when, but I must have eventually fell asleep because I do remember getting up and getting out of there the next day. I'm probably getting home. Sorry. Each time my neighbor mows our lawns, both of our lawns, my lawn and his, and he's setting off my motion detectors. So it keeps popping up, which I don't need them anyways. Anyways, I'm about done. It just bothers me seeing that detection. But yeah, I'm sure after I get off of here, my eyes just like when I'm stuck. I probably am going to have to edit this one because I went crazy a couple times. But yeah, there's so many stories and so many interactions I had while in there. But I think that that's not necessary to put in this video because a lot of them was with other people. I did have one lady, the lady who actually told me to cover my head, she ended up becoming like very protective of me, which even the social worker noticed that was weird because the day or two before that, she pointed at me from across the room. She said, "You go get out of here." I can't remember what she said exactly. And I was like, okay, I get it. I was like, I'm trying to. And she was just like mad at me. And I don't know what it was. But then like a day or two later, she was like just like with me, like very protective of me. And the social worker was like, "Well, she's your friend now, isn't she? She's looking out for you." And I'm like, I guess. My face is itchy. You know what? It probably is a good thing that he's mowing now, too. It's like a good cutoff point. But I'm going to get back into my... I don't know if I'm going to post this before my detox, my social media detox and stuff. I don't think it's technically cheating my detox because I've been going on YouTube. I haven't been commenting or anything. I might post it. I might not. I don't know. We'll see. Before Monday. I might wait a day to post it because I have the rest of today and all of tomorrow to get through my little not socializing. Funny. Anyways, let's see. I think that's good. But yeah, I survived. And then I got checked out. My dad came to pick me up. I was still paranoid at that time. I was so ready to go home, but I was like, I was still paranoid. And I was still like nervous to be out. Scared that somebody was going to get me and my dad. Not sure if my dad was going to get me. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Like I said, overall, I would never want to do it again, but it is an experience that I have under my belt. And it is partially why my eyes look like this because I've been through so much. I could look a lot worse. And that's what my last video is going to be, is getting back into me. Talking about the wound care, the returning to work, the follow-up treatments, just returning back to normal, which I'm there 3 years later. I'm better than I was even before then. And I stopped taking that medication like a couple weeks after. I did give it a shot. I did, but I ended up I talked to the psychiatrist when I was out. I told him I didn't need it. I was like, is there something I can take for anxiety if needed, as needed? And he did tell me, yeah, Benadryl might be to help with that. And he sided with the medical hospital, obviously, the mental hospital, obviously, physicians and whatever. Anyways, but he did not encourage me to, but he did tell me how to wean myself off of the Abilify. And I did. I think I was on it maybe month top. I think it was like 2 weeks even. No, I was probably on about a month. Actually, no, I was probably on it a few months. I don't know exactly, but I did, after I got back to my home, I ended up having him take me off of it. And I did it the right way, and I have not needed it. I haven't even taken a Benadryl for anxiety. I really don't even deal with anxiety anymore. Because once you do that crap, you go through all that shit, you're not scared of much. Okay. But seriously, yeah, I did a lot to build strength back up. And I'm not saying I'm 100% or that I'm stronger in every area, but I did build back up quite a bit of strength, and I do have a fuller outlook on what I've been through and what I will come up against, I guess. And hopefully I'm equipped to be able to face things in a healthier way. I don't think it's going to resort to me spazzing out or anything like that, even if the worst happens. I don't know. So it's getting dark. Stormy's like, shut up, Mom. Stop talking about this stuff. And I think eventually, and when I am done with these videos, I don't plan on constantly revisiting them by watching the videos or even talking about it. It's just going to be out there and done with. But I do want to capture. My ears ringing. I got to get off of here. It's time to go. But I do want to capture it, though, because you never know. Like, people could lose their memories and stuff. And I kind of want the reminders. If I want to, resort to it anyways. I'm